Good afternoon. Welcome to episode 4 of How to Grow a Monster Tomato. As you can see, we're well out the top of our 10-foot tall tomato frame. And as temperatures are beginning to cool here, the active growing part of the season is about finished. We're harvesting tomatoes about as fast as we can. One of the questions we got since the last episode is, how many pounds of tomatoes can a person expect on a giant tomato of this size? The reality is all these things are affected a little bit about the weather and which particular variety you grow. But in this particular case, with an early girl variety and all of those things done right, we'll probably get somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 or 60 pounds of tomatoes off of this particular plant. That's an awful lot of tomatoes, I can tell you. Those first few, you can't eat them fast enough, but by the time you get to September like we are now, we've had plenty and we're sharing them about as fast as we can. So I left one of the branches outside the tomato frame to give you an example of what can happen when you don't keep these tucked in on a regular basis. So this particular branch has got some fruit set on it, and now that it's beginning to get heavy, it's creasing, and that will pinch off, and these won't be as good of tomatoes as they could. That's why through that active growing season, when it's really growing, we want to keep it tucked inside the frame so the frame can help support that weight and keep it upright. The big focus at the end of the season with this tomato plant is, how do we extend the season so that we don't lose the tomato plant too early? And most cases, the first frost is not followed by frost every single day. It's usually a little nip that would kill most people's tomato plants and end their season. But if we're careful, we can avoid that and end up with another month or so of the season. So the technique is starting around the 100-year frost for your particular area, and those are available on the web. Just Google the 100-year frost in your town. They'll give you the average frost date. And then when you get around that date, the technique is simply watch the evening news. And if the weatherman says there's going to be frost in your area, then you come out, you get your ladder and an old sheet, or you can buy frost cloth, and you're going to drape that over the top of the plant and use some kind of string of some kind, a bungee cord, and pull that cover over the top. All we want is the frost to not settle on our plant. And then in the morning before you go to work, you come out and you take that cover off, and you will have avoided the frost. The thing about a tomato plant is, as soon as that tissue gets frozen, the flavor of all the tomatoes on the plant will no longer be good. If you are giving up on the season and you're not going to try to protect the tomato plant, then any of the fruit that's left, pick it all. So any of the fruit that's begin to color up, that's started coloring up, it will ripen if you put it on the kitchen counter. And even the green ones, there's a lot of recipes for things to do with green tomatoes. I recommend you check that out because they're pretty good and they're still good for you. So not everybody has had a chance to watch all 4 episodes of How to Grow a Monster Tomato. So with the magic of video editing, I can show you the entire season in speed version. So roll the tape. What's not to love about a fresh, juicy tomato picked right out of your backyard? 10 times better than anything you could ever buy in a store, especially because of all the love that goes into growing them. We've really enjoyed sharing the video with you this season as we've gathered all the footage that we needed to really show you succinctly and quickly how to grow a giant tomato. Next season, the product becomes widely available in the United States for purchase, and we'd love to include you in those early season buys. So if you have subscribed to our page, or if you email us at the link at the bottom of the page, we'll make sure to include you when those special promotions begin. Thanks again for joining us this season, and we'll see you next year.